All right, good evening, everyone. Thank you for being here. One more Tuesday. So we're going to start with our initial pray, and then we're going to jump to the study. So I ask everybody in this moment to close your eyes and elevate your thoughts. Jesus Christ, our big brother, and to God, our Father. Be thankful for the opportunity to be here one more Tuesday together among friends, to be here to study and learn, to be thankful for the day, for healthy, to be thankful for everything that we have in this moment where so many don't have anything, especially the health. And kindly ask all the good spirits to protect us, to evolve us in this environment of light and love. Ask them to help us to understand what we're going to study today and to bless each one of us and our brothers and sisters that could be here today, and everyone that is seeing yourself in need of attention, love. We humbly ask the permission to start our study tonight, and so be it. Let me do something, 1 minute. I close the door, otherwise it's gonna be too noise from outside. Okay, let me start sharing the screen. You guys can see?
Yes.
Okay, so let me take in the book as well in case something's wrong here, but I just check it, the spelling. It seems good. We are finishing chapter 4, if I'm not wrong. No, chapter 3. Yeah, 3. We are finishing chapter 3. And the last subject is the spirit confusion. Confusion, actually. This chapter, we talk about the spirit, human being in the disincarnation moment, what happened to the spirit. So this is the last part, and the question 165 has a Kardec's explanation about the whole chapter. And 163, the spirit confusion. And Kardec asked, does the soul immediately regain self-consciousness upon leaving the body? Which means when the time that we disincarnated, do we have the idea what's going on? Basically that. So they have the consciousness that, yep, my body's dead, and now I'm and the spirit says not immediately. It is in a state of confusion. Kardec is going to explain more, and the spirit is going to explain more about this confusion. What do they mean by that? I'm not going to get in details for now, but the spirit says not immediately, okay? That when we disincarnate, you have the idea. Not most of us, let's say that. So 164, and if you guys have any comments, please do. Okay. Do all spirits experience the confusion that follows the separation of the soul from the body to the same degree and for the same span of time? So Kardec want to know if it's a rule for everybody, if in the time of the disincarnation, when the spirit is attached from the body, if this is the same experience for everybody. And the spirit says, no, this depends on their elevation. The person who is already purified recovers consciousness almost immediately because they have already freed themselves from the shackles of materially during physical life. However, a more materialistic person whose conscience is not clear, branded with the impression of matter for a long period of time. So, the thing is, about recovering, okay? When the spirit says the person who's already purified recovers consciousness almost immediately. Kardec, one more time, he's going to explain more in details of this. But the main point of this question here is not all the spirits experience the same level of confusion. Not all the spirits. They have different level of confusion, but all experience some confusion. When it says confusion, it's not about like lost, but it takes time to understand the process. Unless you were very enlightened person, very, very enlightened person, or somebody that have this great knowledge and plus the knowledge, applies the knowledge in your daily basis, probably you're going to know right away what's going on. Like Chico Xavier. I'm not sure, actually. Yeah, not sure, but I can say that on the time that he died, he had the whole idea what's going on. Because he already experienced so many of the spirits in his life during so many years. And of course, he plus the knowledge, he applied the knowledge in his life, most of his life. Any comments over here? Mark, Eloa?
All good.
Good.
All good.
And this is the big one. Here we're gonna do per part. So Kardec asked for the last question for this part. Does the knowledge of spiritism have an influence on the duration of the state of confusion? That's a good question, actually. And the spirit says it has a substantial influence on its duration because the spirits acquire a prior understanding about its new situation, which means we have the knowledge. We know about spirits, you know what happened when we die. However, the practice of rightness and clear conscience have the most influence. That's the most important part on this question and to understand. Knowledge brings us so many things, but moral is different for each one of us. So many of us that we call spiritists, we have the knowledge, but not so many of us when the time comes, when we disincarnated, we accept or understand. You can have the consciousness of what's going on, but sometimes you don't accept it, or you don't want, or we get afraid. So that is one of the points. And it doesn't mean that you have the whole knowledge of the spiritism that you are a good person. Because in order to be a good person, you don't need to be spiritist. We had this lecture from Haroldo Dutra. He's like very big in Brazil. The pandemic, and he said something very important because this lady from California, she asked him, we need to spread more spiritism in America. We need to talk more about that. We need to make people to understand spiritism. And he said something that caught my attention. He said, no, we don't need more spiritists in the world. We need more good people in the world. It's something that it really caught my attention, that because it doesn't matter if you're a spiritist or not, it doesn't matter your religion. If your moral is low, if you don't care for others, if you don't have the respect, you know. So there is something that it really caught my attention when he said that. There's so many good spiritists in other religions because they do the right thing. They follow the Jesus path, the teachings. So you don't need more spiritists in the world. You need more good people in the world. And spiritism brings the knowledge for each one of us based on the Jesus teachings. So first thing to understand here, the duration of confusion, yes, can be substantial if you have the knowledge. However, if you are not that good person, yeah, that's going to be difficult for you, especially to accept. Any comments over here, Mark, Lola?
Yeah, we're all good.
You guys can talk, okay? Go ahead, give the ideas. All right, this part. So, Mark, can you read this part for me? Because it's going to be so many difficult words. So just read this part.
When death arrives, everything is chaotic at first. The soul is stunned, similar to when a person wakes from a deep sleep and needs time to establish its bearings and fully comprehend the situation. It gradually regains clarity and the memory of the past as the influence of the material envelope that it has recently shed weakens and the fog that obscured its consciousness clears.
So you guys understood this part?
Yeah.
Okay, so when he says everything's chaotic at first, because there's a confusion, you know, your spirit is just getting there or already separated from the body. And I like the example, similar when a person wakes from a deep sleep. I'm pretty sure all of you already had this feeling, you know, when you sleep like for long hours and you wake up and you don't know, like, is it the morning already or is still the night, you know? You gotta like 2-3 minutes of confusion to understand, oh, okay, no, it's still, you know, it's still night or it's already the morning. And gradually regains clarity of the memory to the past as influence of the material envelope that is recently shed weakness. That's nice. And to understand, because that's general. Now Kardec's gonna give some examples. Can you continue, Mark?
The duration of confusion following death varies greatly. It may be a few hours, several months, or even years. Those who, during their human lives, have closely identified themselves with their future state do not remain confused for long because they are able to gain quicker understanding of this situation.
Yep, I did this highlighted by myself, and because I want to just, you know, to point this part. The duration of confusion following that varies. In hours, months, and years, yes, could be more, much more than years. Centuries, could be centuries. So, well, Mark is here to, you know, don't let me lie about it. When some spirits, right, Mark, come and have no idea that they are in some situation over 2,000 years and doing the same thing over and over and over. Because, of course, moral is the first thing, knowledge, acceptance, and those are the ones that have been suffering for the same thing for more than 2,000 years. And it happens a lot in the mediumship sessions when they come and have and no idea what's going on. So yep, it can happen. This part's very interesting. So Mark, can you continue, please?
This confusion is completely dependent on specific features and the type of death. In cases of violent death, suicide, torture, accident, stroke, injuries, and so on, the spirit is shocked and does not believe that it is dead. It stubbornly maintains the contrary and views the body that it has left as something separate from itself. It recognizes its body and cannot understand how it could be separated from it. It remains among those it has loved, speaks to them, and does not understand why they do not hear it. This illusion lasts until the paraspirit has fully separated from the physical body. It is only when this is accomplished that the spirit begins to understand that it no longer is part of the physical world.
One more time, I did highlight in the first paragraph saying the confusions completely depend on the specific features and the type of death. And I believe you guys noticed that violent death in general, as he gave some examples, suicide, torture, accident, stroke, injuries, when the body and the spirit, actually, let me rephrase that. When the spirit in a violent way separated from the body. Actually, it doesn't separate immediately, but it's suddenly something happened as an accident, like a car accident, stroke, you know, and of course, suicide, because it's first of all, there is not the day and time to that person disincarnated. And second, it's so violent for the body that it takes time to do the whole process of separation. But suicide over here, I would add it, that's a different level of torture, accident, stroke, and injuries, because probably it depends on the situation. Suicide can take longer and longer. Because in an accident, stroke, you know, they didn't plan to die like this, but it happens to the body. But if it's suicide, the person planned to take their lives away, you know. And I think they're going to explain here lately. Yeah, you will. And this part as well, it says the illusion lasts until the perispirit has fully separated from the physical body, which can take here several years, months, hours. It really depends. So many other books from André Luiz that explain what happened to the body for those spirits that take their lives or those accidents. And in some mediumship sessions, that is like the main work to do, to explain to those spirits what's going on and, you know, bring help to them when they're ready to receive help. Suicide, it's something else. It's a whole different story because it has so many pain involved in the situation that requires more attention, let's say that. But what happened to each one of us, it really depends. Some people that committed suicide, they can, not right away, probably, but takes less time than other people that committed suicide. It really depends the situation. It really depends. But as far as we know, and we have the knowledge from spirits, that's a very difficult situation. Very difficult situation. And but some books explain some, the feeling of the spirit, because we already learned about the feeling of the spirit, because why they feel pain if they don't have the body anymore. Why? Because they are so attached to the body. They are linked to the body with the pure spirit, and they still feeling those feel, but that's just on their mind. Physically, they were not feeling anything. It's just on their mind before they understand the situation. Any comments? No? Okay, can you do this part, please, Mark?
This phenomenon is easy to explain. With death occurring unexpectedly, the spirit is stunned by the sudden change that has taken place. Death is still equivalent to destruction for the spirit, and it thinks that it cannot possibly be dead. This illusion is still further reinforced by seeing itself with a body similar to the one it has left, because it does not immediately perceive its ethereal nature and believes that it is solid, just as it was in the corporeal world. When its attention is called to this point, it is shocked to discover that it is not tangible. This phenomenon is similar to what happens in cases of somnambulists or hypnotized people who cannot believe that they are asleep. For them, sleep is synonymous with the suspension of their faculties. And since they can see clearly and think freely, they feel awake. Some spirits experience this feeling, even in cases where death was expected. It is much more common in those who, despite being ill, did not expect to die. Sometimes the spirit may even attend its own funeral, as though it were that of someone else, speaking as if it were someone else, until it finally sees the truth.
Yep. And this is more common than you think. Some the spirits attend their own funeral, having no idea what's going on. Some has. This part reminds me a story, one of this meeting session. This spirit came and he knows he died, but he was from those religions that believe when we die, we going to the eternal sleeping until the judgment day, the judge day, the day of the judge, something like that, right, Mike? And so what an interesting story to talk about. First, if you die, you're not going to change your personality or who you are or what you think. You're going to stay the same. And that spirit, he believed that so much. He was religious. And when he was talking to the person that was talking to him, he said, well, I might be in a dream, but I didn't know when you died, we can still have a dream because I'm dead and I can talk. I can see, I don't know why I'm seeing you and I don't know why I'm talking because I'm dead. And I know that I'm waiting for the day of the judge day, the last day. I'm waiting for that. And then as the conversation went, was happening there and trying to explain that, making question for the spirit. So why do you think you can talk? You can see, maybe I'm dreaming, but I didn't know that I can dream. And he was keeping talking about dream. And then he was in a sleep because he believed that. So immediately when he disincarnated, he was put to sleep. He went to sleep because he believed that. And then at some point of the conversation, the spirit said, well, maybe the final day arrived. Maybe that's the day that all the dead are going to survive again And there is the judge day. That's the time that Jesus coming to earth to separate it, the goods to the sinners. And at this point, you can explain in details all this information that you're talking here. It takes time. It takes time for us to understand and takes time for the spirit to understand, because the difference between us and the spirit is the body. We still think the same. We still believe in the same things. And then he started seeing so many other spirits going to the light. And he truly believed, oh, that's the time. I'm going to heaven. That's the time. And the speaker said, yes, time to understand what's going on. So just follow them and you're going to have the explanation. I believe at this point, he understood that it's not final day. That is still so many lives to live, and the death is not the end. And it's beautiful to see the opportunities for everybody. And what I can say, I don't know if this spirit was a bad or good person when he was in earth, but he believed in something. But he believed when he died, he go to sleep until the final day. And he was like thinking, okay, maybe that is the day has arrived. It's time to, see how things is gonna play here. And he went with the other spirits to the light, and probably all of them believed in the same thing. And they're gonna have the same explanation. And the point here is everybody is in a situation right now, everybody. And the confusion when the time of death, it depends, one more time, the knowledge, your moral, and so many other things. And it really depends if you want to really wake or you're still sleeping. And some spirits, they want to be sleeping. Not physically sleeping, but sleeping in their mind. Do not believe, as this part is common in those who, despite being well, did not accept to die. How many of us have some relatives, some friends, or already heard about people in the time of death they don't accept? They get angry in the situation. I can't leave my family. I can't leave my siblings. I can't leave my life. I have to do this and this and this and this and this, but the time has come. And they still persist and they don't want to go. And they're not going to go in spirit. I mean, the body is gone. That is that. And that's why sometimes the spirit may even attend the funeral and have no idea what's going on. That's why acceptance, knowledge, and good behavior helps a lot. But even those people that do not accept, they get help. They are those mentors, those spirits around is just waiting for the right moment to approach that spirit and say, like, my friend, time to go. Basically that. Jimmy, how are you?
Doing well, hanging in there. How are you?
I'm good. Great to see you.
Very good topic we have here.
Oh, yeah. And that's the last part of the chapter 3, the book 2. It calls the spirit confusion. Basically, the situations that the spirits see themselves the moment of the death. So do you have any comments?
Yeah. Spirits that I had communication with over the years back, people that I might have known, go with their own personality, of course, and their intellect when they go over. But I saw quite often they came to, and maybe I'm sure it was a process, but their personalities became more positive and they became heightened in their understanding. And the negativity, or a lot of it, left them. So I guess I was seeing the positive end of people who went into spirit, who had evolved. It was kind of, there's this deep peace and understanding that they acquired. So
So
yeah.
true, Jimmy. It's interesting this point, because when we disincarnated, and after a while we start to understand what's going on with ourselves, I can tell, because like some of the spirits, when they come to talk to us in the meeting session, when they say what happened to them, when they just like realize, I can tell that it's unbearable clear the situation, because things that we can't see as incarnated here, we are going to see all. All. And for those who has already accepted the situation, even they still hurting in them, like their hearts, even they still feeling pain, suffering, but they already understood and accepted, they gonna see the whole truth. They're going to see the whole scenario. And there is just two ways or two paths to take. I'm going to accept and evolve, or I'm going to be stuck here. And that's a very good example that you give, Jimmy, because we have so many examples, the ones that want to be stuck.
Yeah, and I've encountered those too, that were just kind of stuck because they could not let go.
Right.
Which eventually they will.
Yeah.
But it's going to take longer for them.
When those spirits come and said, the most of the word that they gave to us is, I'm tired. You not just accept the death, but accept that like obsessions, those spirits that go after others for millennia because they want a vengeance, they want to, do something bad to this person. Most of them, when they practice bad things, when they are in the dark with their hearts, even like millennials, when they came to the point that they want to still do this, but they know that no more room for that, they normally say, I'm tired. And they look tired because it's time to move on. It can take, because you were saying here that the duration of confusion over here, they were saying the duration of confusion, falling death varies greatly. It may be few hours, several months, or even years. And you have the example, spirits that took centuries to let it go. Centuries being in the situation, doing every day the same thing. So knowledge, it's really important, this part. If you don't accept, but at least you understand the situation. Then you have, you can choose. You have your free will for sure. But that's a good example that you gave to us, Jimmy. All right. So Mark, can you just read this one more part here, please?
Let's see. Starting with the confusion?
Yes.
The confusion that follows death is in no way painful for people who have lived an honest life. They are calm and feel as if they are peacefully waking out of a slumber. However, people whose conscience is not clear are brimming with anxiety and anguish. and this only heightens as they gain full cognizance.
Yep. So basically what we talk, right? So the painful for people who had lived an honest life, which you can name it, this type of life, right? Humbleness, no pride. I mean, okay, let's be honest. No pride is too much asking for dessert. Like, trying to work on the pride, try to work, on those bad feelings, let's say. No pride at all. It's one day, but yeah, those for those who work hard on their inner to try to be better. Yeah, let's say that probably is gonna not easy. Yeah, probably gonna be easier for them to accept, to understand, to get the help. But it doesn't mean the ones that was not doing this, they don't get the help. They do. They do. Normally, sometimes more than the ones that was like, because they require more time and more work. And can you read the last paragraph, please, Mark?
In cases of a collective death in which many individuals have died together in the same catastrophe, they do not always see one another immediately afterwards. Each spirit goes its own way in the confusion following death, or only worries about those in whom it takes an interest.
This part I highlighted. Why? Two things. Collective death. So when airplane crash or some natural disaster happen, but right now in the last 12 months we have been seeing this. So many people disincarnating every single day. This is a kind of a collective death. At least in Brazil, unfortunately, is very sad. We got in the rank of the first country in the world where people are dying every day, more than 2,000 people every day. It's a lot. So let's put it like 2,000 people is more than the airplane crashed, when it can die 300, 400, 200. Imagine 2,000 people disincarnating at the same time. It's a lot, and every day. So just open a parenthesis here. The spirit world right now, it's working hard. They were working hard. I can tell they are overwhelmed, as we are here. So just to put a highlight in here. But collective death, so everybody, in this hospital, give an example, the one that we're living right now, these 2,000 people died today of COVID. Do they gonna immediately have this understood, or seeing each other like, oh, everybody here dead, that's incarnated, I can see everybody that is already dead here as I am of COVID? No. Why? Because the same rule applies for everybody. They're in different levels of knowledge, moral, and acceptance. Some, they're gonna, probably most of them, at least the information that we have, they take time to wake up, understand what's going on. I'm talking about the COVID situation, okay? Other disasters, it's different. But in the COVID situation, the information that we have from the spirits so far, they take time. They take those spirits and they put in a different area, and they fall asleep until the time to wake up and to understand everything. But in general, for the collective death, as airplane crash, everybody's gonna see each other at the same time and see, oh, you dead? No, because, and one more time, they're in different levels of knowledge, acceptance, and so on, so on. And some of the families come to rescue them, the mentors, other spirits. When things like that occur here on Earth, a group of enlightened spirits goes to the area of the disaster to help those spirits in it. But it depends to them as well. It really depends to them. This is a very interesting subject. And as Kardec explained, each spirit goes its own way in the confusion following death, or only worries about those in whom it takes an interest in. The families, the kids, wife, husband, friends, it really depends when those situations happen. Okay, let's comment this. I know, Jim, you want to say something.
Well, which I'm sure you might have mentioned, and no one is ever left without help.
Oh, no.
I don't care if somebody was a horrible person in their behavior. There is always help. No one is left alone. All they have to be willing to do is be willing to accept, and it's there. That's the only thing I can say.
That's a very good point that you put out here, Jimmy, because nobody, as you said, nobody at all is left without help. However, something very important that you said, it's really up to them to accept or not.
Mm-hmm.
Some, they don't accept. Some accept. We can keep talking this for hours because have like so many cases and situations of spirits. Their regular death that you suffered, that you got well, or in some disaster. It takes time. It depends who is dying there, regarding the moral and all those things and knowledge. Suicide, something else. Suicide's another whole subject and very deep subject to talk about. And the ones that is incarnated because they were doing something wrong, something bad for somebody, for themselves. Normally, the ones that are just looking for vengeance, the one that are looking for to make justice with their own hands, is the one that it takes time to accept that it's time to move on. Because if you make me suffering, I want to make you suffering. And since you have like multiple lives, probably we're not the angel in each one of those lives. And we got ours, complications, situations. We don't know what we did to others. We don't know what others did to us. That's why knowledge is important, even more important, in my opinion, in those hard situations. That no matter what happened, and no matter what you did or what I have done to you, you have to move on. Because that's the only way to evolve. You have to move on because the divine justice, it's always there. Always there. It's not up to us to do the justice. Even some of spirits believe in that. Like, I'm not going to wait for God, or no believe in God. I'm not going to wait for Jesus. I don't believe in Jesus, or so many other, excuses to slave those other spirits or go after those other people, and so many other situations. But acceptance and the will to move on is up to us. Even we got all the help in the world, it's always up to us. they can show us the path, they can help us, they can inspire us, but at some point, we're gonna have to face it. At some point, we're gonna have to face it. And I believe that's the beauty of have chances. Because at some point, we're going to have to face it. In this chapter here, we are talking about acceptance, the time of the death. But acceptance and knowledge, for sure, it's something really important in any situation in our life. Because the more we know, the more you need to do, right? And it has this story from this guy in Brazil. I think I already told you guys that. Sorry if I told this guy that already, but it's something that comes to my mind right now. The speaker, this guy in the 50s, 60s, he was a good speaker. He was the president of the Spiritism Society in Brazil by then. Knowledge is something that he had a lot. And he used to do those speeches, for so many people during so many years, teaching them about spiritism. And one day he died, he disincarnated. So, but before that, all the time that he went to do these speeches in this small city that he used to live, had this guy, the senior guy that used to sit in the last line of like the chairs, and he never spoke anything, he never did anything, he just went there, watched the lecture and leave all the time. He didn't come to him and say, oh, I appreciate it, as everybody normally did, or thank you for this, or have any question. Never. And at some point, this guy, the one that he gave the lecture, started like notice this old guy, but he was like, okay, then he's incarnated, and guess who he encountered there? This old guy. However, the guy that used to give the speech was in the bad situation, was in the umbral, because he had so many knowledge, but guess, apply the knowledge, he was not that good on this. And when he got the help, because he knew what's going on, and he had this book where he just explained his situation. He said, by the time that I was in umbral, I knew it. I just didn't know why for like a couple hours. Then I realized why, because I am good with the words, but not with actions. But he helped so many people with his speeches. And one of those people came to help him. Okay, he went to like Nosso Lar, to the spiritual city, and he saw this old guy there, and he said, "Oh, you were here?" Like, yes. And he asked him, "So can I make your question? Because all the time that you came to watch my lecture, you never came to me say anything, or even thank you." And he said, yes, I have to be thankful, because with your speech, all your teachings, I could go through. My wife passed away with cancer, and I was so sad, and I could do exactly what you taught me to do it. So can you see when the knowledge play, he gave the knowledge for this guy, and the guy applied. But the speaker, the guy that preach all those, knowledge, he didn't apply half of it. And that's the time that knowledge helped him to understand why he was an umbral. There is a good side about the knowledge, because he had the knowledge what's going on, he had the knowledge that he's incarnated, and then he realized why he was there. So it's just a combination of so many things in order to the time of this incarnation to understand and to accept. Comments?
Very good.
And hopefully we gonna get the knowledge when the time come and like, okay, time to go, let it go and let it be. Right? All right, so we finish chapter 3 of the book 2, and we are going to start chapter 4, the plurality of existence.
Interesting.
That's going to be why reincarnation, why the reincarnation exists, why reincarnate, why people reincarnating or disincarnate. That's a great subject. Oh, well, let me stop for share here. And then I will do the final pray, or if somebody wants to do it. Actually, Jimmy, can you give the honor to do the final pray?
The honor. Okay.
All right.
Okay. First, let's acknowledge the opportunity we had to be here at this time, at this moment, which is truly a gift. In this existence, so many things could have happened that we couldn't have been here, but here we are. We thank the spirits that have been with us. Hopefully those who are in need are also learning. We ask that the more evolved spirits will brighten our minds and our hearts so we can actualize these teachings and bring those ideas into our life to actualize those things in our life for ourselves and others. And we ask that our own compassion will grow daily. So be it.
Thank you so much, everyone. Let me just stop recording because I want to ask you something, Mark.